All right, thanks very much. Well, a heightened police presence yesterday right across the city due to an unconfirmed threat. Police would not elaborate on, but of course there were more officers out on the roads yesterday morning. It's back to normal today, but get used to seeing more officers out on the roads in general, at least for the next 8 weeks, as part of a gun violence reduction plan introduced by Toronto Police and the mayor of the city. Now, joining us live here this morning is the president of the Toronto Police Association. We have McCormack, who is in here right now with us. And Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
First off, we're going to talk about what everyone was talking about yesterday and this morning as well. We know operations have returned back to normal this morning, but yesterday with this unconfirmed threat, we had so many officers out, but not a lot of detail given, especially just a tweet that was pretty vague, and people started to panic a little bit, wondering what was happening. Can you enlighten us on why there's so little detail is given in situations like this?
It's not a question of so little detail. What it is that there's a first of all, our intelligence team that we have at the Toronto Police Service, second to none. And what they're doing is that from an investigative standpoint, you don't want to compromise the intelligence. You don't want to compromise the investigation. You are concerned about public safety, officer safety, everything going on. And you also have a component of investigative needs. So if our service felt that there was a need to alarm the public or get more information out, our intelligence people would get that information out. However, what they're doing is they're doing it in real time. They're updating, they're going through it. So when the information becomes available that is necessary to get to the public, we get it to the public. However, there's an investigative need. So it's not about getting everybody into a state of panic. They're there to analyze that intelligence, get the information, and get it to the public in a realistic way. And we do a great job of that.
Okay, we're going to move on as well to other news. Yesterday, early yesterday morning, we had the mayor as well as the police chief announce their plans for gun violence reduction here in the city, and that includes adding 200 extra officers out on the streets overnight. Now, we've heard from you throughout the last few months, if not for the last few years, about what you believe is an understaffing of the police department. So what are your thoughts on now getting 200 more officers out on the streets?
Well, I wish it was we were getting 200 more officers out on the street. So what we do know is that it's today we know that it's going to be done through an overtime component. So my concern is that we have these officers that I've been talking about, as you said, for a year, saying we have less and less officers. We're in a reactive mode going from call to call. So the officers who are going call to call and getting burned out, and the morale issues that we're having, are now going to be working overtime to build up this 200, this number of 200. So it's not like we have an infusion of fresh officers or we have 200 additional officers. The people who are out there each and every day doing this job are going to be told, okay, you have to stay longer. So I have a bit of a concern about that and about officer and civilian burnout. I am, on a positive note, finally glad that the mayor and the chief have acknowledged that we do have a resource issue by saying we need an additional amount of police officers on the street. So finally there's an acknowledgement that they're listening to the membership in the association. The other thing is that, you know, the mayor has been saying is we need to get more people hired and get them through faster. This thing is saying we're hiring police officers, and this notion that we have 200 additional police officers being hired, which isn't actually the fact. The fact is that we've lost 450 officers in the last 18 months, and we've only got 57 officers to replace them. So, you know, the mayor's acknowledged we have to get more people hired and we have to get them deployed. That's the word, deployed sooner. Not hired, but actually deployed. When we can see the people of Toronto, our officers can see them on the street making a difference.
Now, of course, there are recruitment sessions that are happening now. Is there any idea as to when there will be what you believe is a full complement, a better complement of officers on the roads?
And that's a great question, and that's been part of the issues that we've been having with the mayor and the chief, is when do we actually see these people deployed? Because we've been promised these 200 officers. For instance, in August of 2017, we were promised 80 officers would be hired. We never saw those officers materialize, and what we saw was 40 officers, as I said, that have been hired so far, are hired and deployed this year, but another 17 to 20 for the class in the fall. So that's what we're trying to do, get a commitment to have the classes filled now, get them out, get them through the college, get them deployed. But on the current schedule, you wouldn't see those 200 officers till mid 2019, which is not helping us right now.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us again, Mike McCormack, the president of the Toronto Police Association. We'll send it over to Carrie next for a look at traffic.